Welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got breaking news coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and we're going to be talking more about Donald Trump in this video. As we know, Donald Trump, the newly elected president, will be inaugurated in the United States on January 20th, 2025 for president. And we've been hearing a little bit about Donald Trump's plans to try to end this war with Ukraine. We've been discussing it a little bit on this channel with our updates between the war with Russia and Ukraine. And we have this huge report just coming out today from the Washington Post that was exclusive, stating that Donald Trump apparently called Vladimir Putin on November 7th and urged him not to escalate the war in Ukraine. Okay, so that's very interesting because we are seeing escalation right now with this war. I did report to you guys earlier today that the Russians and North Korean soldiers are building up a sizable force in the Kursk region in a major attempt to push Ukraine out of that area. I think it was somewhere around 50,000 troops that could be deployed to the Kursk region to try to finish off Ukraine once and for all and push them out to the Kursk region. Obviously, we're going to be seeing some sort of negotiations potentially coming between Ukraine and Russia very soon, maybe in the next few months. And obviously, Russia wants to push Ukraine out of the Kursk region before that happens. So we definitely are seeing escalation even on the eastern side of Ukraine. Russia is pressing very hard, and they have been gaining some ground over the last month or so. So I also have on the screen here for you guys that Trump apparently expressed an interest in further conversations to discuss the resolution of Ukraine's war soon, and he also reminded Putin of U.S.'s sizable military presence in Europe. So also warning Vladimir Putin not to escalate this, and that the U.S. has lots of military assets and troops stationed in Europe right now. So we're going to talk some more about this. I have multiple reports to go over on X right now. And we're going to talk more about what we could potentially be seeing with this war moving forward and how maybe things may come to an end. We'll have to see. So let's hop on over to X now, and I've got some reports to show you over here. So from Bliskovka, Donald Trump called Putin on November 7th and urged him to avoid escalation in Ukraine, the Washington Post reports. Trump recalled the presence of U.S. troops in Europe and expressed interest in further negotiations to end the war. And if you also notice here, this is what some independent sources on X were sharing, was Trump also allegedly supported a deal in which Russia would retain control over part of the occupied territories of Ukraine. Now, we have been hearing a lot of that, and I would not be surprised if that is part of the actual plan, is to cede the territories over to Russia that have already been previously taken. We may definitely see a demilitarized zone on the eastern side of Ukraine and potentially peacekeeping forces from Europe being stationed there as well. Here's the original report from the Washington Post as exclusive. Trump talked to Putin, told Russian leader not to escalate in Ukraine. President-elect Donald Trump spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday and discussed the war in Ukraine, according to people familiar with the call. Okay, so that was the original report that just broke today. I think it was just in the last few hours at the time that I record this. So definitely a huge report today. And more information on what we could be potentially seeing, as we know that Donald Trump is going to try to end this war. He said within 24 hours of being elected, he would have this war wrapped up and in the bag. So I want to show you guys some other independent sources talking about how this war could come to an end or how it could maybe even continue. I thought this was a good report here, right here from Glasnost Gone. Anyone with at least half a brain cell knows Putin won't make any territorial concessions in any Trump peace plan, and here's why. So we're going to pull open this map here, and we'll read the information on the side so I can kind of go over the information and show you what he's talking about on the map. It says here, number one, he's still not secured all of the eastern Donetsk region, the yellow line, and if he can, it will take several more months and possibly into next year. So the Donetsk region is right here. This yellow line resembles where Russian troops would be on the right side of this line, and Ukraine controls the eastern side of the Donetsk region. Okay, so that's what he's talking about here. Even if he captured it, there's no easy way to defend its regional border, no rivers or high ground. So he'll likely want to advance into the neighboring Dnipropetrovsk region and create a deep buffer zone, which I believe would be right over here in this area. They would have to move more east. Even if they took the entire Donetsk region here, they would have to start moving into the Dnipropetrovsk region right over here, to create a deeper buffer zone is what he's talking about. Okay, and then also in the south, Putin's objective was to create and secure a land route to occupied Crimea, but he's still not captured all of the Zaporizhzhia region. This means Ukrainian missiles and artillery can easily reach occupied ports of Mariupol and Berdyansk, excuse me. So the Zaporizhzhia region is right here. Again, the yellow line indicating that south of this line, the Russians control Zaporizhzhia. North of it, over here, they do not, okay? This is where Ukraine controls up here. And because they do not control all of Zaporizhzhia, it would be very easy for Ukraine to target Berdyansk, the port city over here, and also Mariupol in the Donetsk region is what he's claiming. Again, Putin will likely want to secure all of the Zaporizhzhia region and push into the Dnipropetrovsk region. There are Dnipro and Samara rivers, purple line, which would create a more defensible position, which he's talking about over here, okay? So they would have to push in to this region of the Dnipropetrovsk region in Ukraine. Also in the Kherson region, things aren't good for Putin. Ukraine holds the northern side of the Dnieper River and the regional capital, Kherson, but Crimea is only 80 kilometers away and so well within range of Ukrainian missiles and drones, etc. To better defend Crimea, Putin may want to capture all of the Kherson region and gain access to Kherson city and its international airport. So the Kherson region is over here. Again, Russia does not control the entire region of Kherson. Here's the city of Kherson right here. Might be a little hard to see on your screen, but Ukraine does control that city right now. And he's claiming here that Russia may want to push up further north and capture the entire region of Kherson to better protect Crimea from attacks, as Ukraine would be, it would be very easy for them to strike Crimea, as obviously Russia does not control the entirety of Kherson, okay? And then also, number 4, in short, from a strategic standpoint, the current situation isn't good for Russia. Putin knows he has momentum in the Donetsk region, but he's also losing vast amounts of men and material. These are losses he can't afford to keep on suffering for much longer. Putin also knows that Trump won't intervene militarily should Russian forces break any peace plan. Putin will simply use the tried and tested excuse of blaming Ukraine and simply carry on the invasion. Putin will also drag on any peace negotiations for several months and into 2025, thereby allowing Russian forces to attempt to capture the Donetsk region and other territory, essentially saying that this peace plan that Ukraine may be able to put together, or Donald Trump may be able to try to, put an end to this war, that most likely it won't work, and Russia could just blame Ukraine on some sort of attack or something like that maybe, and just carry on the invasion and push forward. Essentially saying that if Russia does not move beyond these yellow lines and capture, let's say, the entirety of the Donetsk region, Zaporizhzhia, and also Kherson, that Russia may not be satisfied with this, and we could see this war continuing even if Donald Trump tries to put an end to this war. So I also want to ask you the question, do you think Donald Trump can end this war in Ukraine, or do you think that this war will continue on even if Donald Trump tries? Now, we'll have to see what happens for sure. Once he gets into office, he claims that he can have this war wrapped up and in the bag very quickly. He said within 24 hours. So we'll have to see really what happens. But I also want to show you some things here on X also regarding the massive losses that Russia has been taking to gain the territory in the eastern side of Ukraine recently, okay? So from Vladimir Dasenko, Russia is suffering more and more losses, trying to look like the side that is winning. The dynamics of Russian losses indicates the price of the Russian offensive. Okay, so I wanted to show you this that was created by Vladimir Dasenko. So the daily losses, we have been seeing these reports on mainstream news that daily losses of soldiers of the Russian army are exceeding 1,500 soldiers per day, okay? In October, they were hitting 1,500 losses per day. That's an extreme amount of troops being lost every day. And also losses per square kilometer. Russia's lost 10.5 soldiers per kilometer of the occupied territory of Ukraine. So about 10.5 soldiers per square kilometer that they gain. That's definitely massive losses. Then if you look down here on this chart, losses related to the fighting territory in some wars. Right now, the Russia-Ukraine war in 2022 to 2024 is at 10.5 losses per square kilometer, excuse me. And the last highest one was the Korean War at 11.4 every square kilometer being lost, okay? And if you look back, let's say World War II, for example, 0.7 square kilometers of lost troops, okay? So clearly, what we're seeing with this war between Russia and Ukraine is Russia definitely is taking on massive losses. We've heard this from numerous sources. Even many top officials coming out from the U.S. have been claiming this, that Russia definitely is taking on major losses, not only in troops, but equipment as well. And I've also shown you guys video footage of Russia sometimes taking out World War II era equipment also. So that also indicates that potentially the Russians are losing lots of equipment as well, not only troops, okay? So also from Andriy Sybiha, who is the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, not only is Ukraine's future at stake, the outcomes of this war will shape the global security architecture for decades. To ensure long-term peace in Europe and beyond, Russian aggression must not be rewarded, it must fail. Appeasement won't work, peace through strength will. Okay, so once again, we hear this a lot from Volodymyr Zelensky, that obviously that appeasement won't work. They need to exercise strength against Russia. For example, they want to be able to strike inside of Russian territory. We've also been hearing that that Volodymyr Zelensky's been saying that they are somewhere around 100. They have like 100 missiles and like cruise missiles, ballistic missiles that have been produced already, and they're working on increasing that number and being able to strike more inside of Russian territory. But this probably won't happen until like maybe mid of next year, maybe sooner if we're lucky, but 2025 that those numbers will increase. So obviously, yeah, is Ukraine's future at stake? Is this war going to go in the benefit of Russia when it does come to an end? And will it come to an end? Let me know what you think down below. Finally, one last thing I want to show you here from Dr. Anastasia Maria Lupus. Breaking, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte says that if Trump surrenders Ukraine to Putin, he will personally expel the United States from the alliance. Good luck with that. So this was some interesting information that just came out today as well. Apparently, Mark Rutte did state this, that he would expel the United States from the alliance. Now, would NATO collapse if that were to happen? I mean, the U.S. is technically the backbone of NATO. They are the largest producer of weaponry for for militaries. So, I mean, and obviously the U.S. has the most money, the most allocation of funds for NATO. Look at the war in Ukraine. I mean, the U.S. has been supplying the good bulk and majority of the weaponry and money for Ukraine. So what would happen here? Is Donald Trump going to hand Ukraine over to Russia? Will this war kind of freeze where it's at? What's going to happen? I mean, there's definitely a lot of questions to be asked. But apparently, yeah, Mark Rutte did state this. We did find a report on Pravda for NATO News. It does say here, if Trump surrenders Ukraine to Putin, I will personally kick the U.S. out of the alliance, says NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. I will cite this down below if you guys want to read this. I'm not going to go over this entire article. I don't want to bore you guys with it, but I will cite it down below if you want to read some more of this. So definitely, this war is going to get very interesting over here with Ukraine and Russia. And I think things are definitely going to pick up. We're going to see much more aggression coming from Russia's side for sure, if they want to try to achieve some war goals before this war does potentially come to an end in maybe late January, February. We'll have to see. Is the negotiations going to drag on for several months like Glasnost stated? We'll definitely have to see what happens, but I'm curious to know what you guys are thinking down below in regards to all this information. Share those thoughts and opinions and concerns down in the comment section for me. And if you got something out of this update, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.